Hi everyone, Julie here. If you want to hear future episodes before anybody else, join our Patreon, where you'll get episodes 3 days early, as well as access to Slack and all sorts of other things. You can find us at patreon.com/Podlander Drunkcast. Thanks for listening. Visit us at podlanderpresents.com to find information on all of our shows. Oh, shit. I just took a load to the face. How silly.
Julie Starbird taking loads to the face since 1994.
That's about accurate.
Great.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking loads to the face, no. Okay, we had a request for an inclusion in this episode that I decided we should just make the bit.
Sweet.
So, Julie.
Yeah.
You, as we were watching season 7, episode
Five, I believe. Five.
Singapore. It's Singapore.
Let's make sure. Yes, it's six.
5.
Episode 5.
We're in the back
Singapore.
half.
Yes.
We were watching Singapore, and they kept talking about the Nuklavi. And Julie was like, "Who's this? Who's the fucking Nuklavi? There's going to be some creepy person who's creeping on the house, right? Who's the Nuklavi?"
Yes.
The Crowdcast would like you to submit your guesses. Who or what is the Nuklavi?
Okay.
You will be judged.
Great. I should hope so, because I'm judging everyone all the time. I might as well just offer myself up for judgment as well. So if it's going to be a real person, which is my instinct right now because of the crisp packets and the water bottles and the shit that they are dropping around.
You think the Loch Ness Monster doesn't eat crisps?
No. I think it is somebody from the town that maybe had some kind of relation to somebody that lived in Lallybroch or knows of Lallybroch, or like was watching it while it stood fallow to see if anybody moved in, and now is like spying on the family to see what's happening.
Like a squatter?
Not like a squatter, like somebody who wants to know what's going on in that house.
Okay.
Right. So just somebody that lives in the town that maybe was related to Leary or related to, I don't know, somebody who knows something about their history and is now like trying to spy on the family that moved in.
So you think it's like Leary's great-great-granddaughter or some shit?
Grandson, granddaughter, somebody who's just like wants to know who lives there now.
Okay, cool. That's one guess. I want 2 more guesses.
Okay. Supernatural guess?
Sure.
The ghost of Bono.
Of Bono?
Yeah, the guy they buried.
Oh, right.
That Ian and Jamie buried.
Yes.
Right. 2. My guess, number 2, is the ghost of Bono.
Great.
And my number 3 guess is the ghost of Jamie.
Okay. You think the ghost of Jamie is eating chips and drinking water and
Not
littering?
really. Not really. So that's why I think it's a real person.
I think if it was the ghost of Jamie, he'd be fixing the roof.
Yeah, he would not litter. He definitely would not litter.
He would be adding windows to Lallybroch, just like he was adding windows to Fort Ticonderoga.
It's a sickness.
Okay.
It's a legitimate sickness.
So we've got a ghost of Jamie guess. We've got a ghost of Bono guess.
And
we've
then we
got a descendant of
somebody related to Lallybroch who lives around and has an interest in what the fuck is happening there.
Okay. You're wrong.
Okay. Is it the Nuklavi?
See, you know what? In like a very particular light, you're right.
Okay.
One of those is almost right.
It's the real person one. It's choice number 1.
No, it's definitely Jamie's ghost.
Is it really?
Jamie's ghost loves Pringles.
Well, wouldn't you?
Yes.
If you fucking died in the 1700s and came back to fuck around with your children of the corn grandson, and he brought you a Pringle, would you not be amused?
I would pop and not be able to stop. Okay, all right. Foods from the future Jamie would be really into. 1, Dunkaroos.
Oh, yeah.
He would love Dunkaroos.
He would love, you know what? Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Yes, flamin' hot. These wee cheesy beasties.
Cheesy
make
beasties.
my tongue sparkle.
Yeah.
Welcome to Podlander, Drunkcast, and Outlander podcast. I'm Allison.
I'm Julie.
And we are talking about Season 7, Episode 5, Singapore, written by Taylor Mallory and directed by Tracy Credits Deer.
Yes.
You know what? I feel like Tracy Deer maybe gets like a canon long-running Drunkcast joke where we pretend she's really the Credits Deer because she did a great fucking job.
Yeah.
Like, think about all of the cave porn. That was all,
Yes.
like, sincerely, you could understand why Bree was freaked out,
Yes.
but it was fucking gorgeous at the same time. Or that shot of the dam.
Tracy Deer deserves our respect for the modern storyline specifically this time.
It looked great.
Looks great.
Looked like really, really excellent. Also, as always, Outlander casting department,
Nailing it.
fire.
Killing it.
Just really, they are pulling that cannon up the top of Sugarloaf Mountain.
Is his name William Vandervoort? Is that his name?
Vandervaart.
Charles Vandervaart? I'm sorry.
Charles Vandervaart plays William.
Dude,
He's good.
he's really good.
It's great. He's like,
I'm really happy that he's good.
and you know what? Willie in the books is such a pain in the ass, but you love him anyway. I mean, sometimes you don't, but most of the time you love him anyway. This is making it much easier to love him anyway because, and also he hasn't gotten to be that much of a pain in the ass yet, but he's a pain in the ass because he's, a fucking entitled British 21-year-old or however the fuck old he is. So odds are he's a dick.
Yeah. He's about to learn some things
But he's
about
got
him.
that Fraser blood.
He's about to learn some things about himself. Killing comes easy.
First blood.
Yeah. And he's about to learn things about others.
He is.
There is darkness in this world. How do you respond?
His horizons are being broadened.
He's also down with a woman who has her own opinion.
Listen.
Which we can already see.
No shaking, just quaking. Yes. That was a joke Julie made mid-episode. But let's talk about the sort of three major storylines that we have in this episode, which two of them neatly collide in a way that appeals to me very much. One is Fort Ticonderoga, and people who don't fucking listen to smart people because their egos are more important to them than sense. And that applies twice.
Yes, it does.
In the same storyline. And in another storyline. Anyway, our second is William and Julie's new favorite characters, the Hunters, the bad bitch Hunters, both of whom I told you Denny Hunter was a badass.
Yes, badass.
He rules.
Well, he grew up with his sister, so he understands that women are just people.
Yeah, yeah.
And that feels, forgive the word, revolutionary at this time in history, right? For a man to feel that way. Yeah.
And also just like smart and cool. Collected.
Just fucking cool.
And he's got that dope hat.
That hat is really cool.
Yeah. We love Denny Hunter. And then 3 is my favorite storyline of the episode. Shockingly. When has the Bree Rogers storyline ever been your favorite?
Except this time.
It was
the best.
Great. It was a great, all of the little individual pieces were great. This is one of my favorite storylines in the books as well, but I was not sure how it was going to translate.
Her working at the dam.
Everything that happens when they go back.
That's right. I forgot about the Dick Rock jizz in there.
We've got the Dick Rock jizz. We've got Jemmy speaking Gallic in school. We've got the Nuclavy.
Okay. All right. So these are all gonna...
We've got... All of these things are significant. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got the letters. We've got... the secrets of
How
Lallybroch.
far away is the dam from the house from Lallybroch?
It's, 3 red line stops.
Okay.
I'm
just thinking about Dick Rock jizz somewhere near the dam. Maybe it is somebody from the past coming back and eating crisps out front. You did tell me it was batshit. You told me it was batshit.
It's batshit.
Okay. I'm not going to guess at who it is. I'm just going to open up my guess parameters to somebody from the past who understands how time travel works.
I think that in general, with this show, you should never rule out time travel as an option.
Of course.
There are things, Julie, there are storylines, and who knows if we'll do them. I hope that we do. But there are storylines that involve time travel that you could never guess if you guessed 1,000,000 times. You could never guess.
Okay.
I'm very excited.
I can't wait.
I'm stoked. Okay.
Okay, so that's the third plot line is the modern day stuff. Can we save that one for the end?
Yes. Let's get through. Why don't we start with the one that we're grumpy about?
Okay.
Which is obviously also complicated. Thank you to everybody in the Crowdcast. I have not started my reread of this book yet and needed a refresher on something. So we're talking about
Fort Ticonderoga.
Fort Ticonderoga, and specifically, I liked everything in the Fort Ticonderoga storyline except for Walter Woodcock, which I also liked until I didn't. So let's briefly do the rest of it. First of all is Jamie once again has a superior officer
understands
who doesn't know jack shit.
It's like, look at that hill over there. I know you don't believe me. That's going to be bad news. We can get a cannon up there.
Yeah, the argument is basic. Jamie is like, listen, there's a high ground over there.
And I'm a Highlander.
And I'm a Highlander.
And I like to be tall.
And listen, somebody's going to bring a fucking cannon up there. And his superior officer is like,
Toulouse-Lautrec.
Oh,
is
you
like,
mean the goats? The goats are going to bring a cannon up
Guess
the
who's
big
wrong?
hill?
Guess who's wrong?
Oh, zut alors.
I mean, this one's pretty obvious to dispatch with. Guess who's wrong? French guy is wrong.
It's a fun title card, though. Singapore, which we now know refers to the Battle of Singapore in World War II. Specifically in that...
About
like,
the difference between
the Americans were like,
by land,
nobody could get through the jungle. And the Japanese were like...
attacking by land or attacking by sea. Yeah.
Yes. And in this case, it's you see territory that you believe to be untraversable. And so you think nobody else could possibly traverse it. Even when a fucking Highlander's like, I could traverse it.
I could fucking do that. Watch me.
And then Claire
then he does.
says, seeing is believing, which is also a thematic through line in this episode. And he's like, oh, Claire, you're a genius. Be right back. Got to drag a cannon up this hill.
Drag like 800-pound fucking gun up this hill.
If you'll excuse me, got to grab my cannon, drag and rope. I've had it since Culloden. So
they make it up there.
Yeah. So Jamie has Fraser's irregulars.
His guys, his
drag
men.
a cannon up there. I will say, strategically, Jamie, we've addressed many times, among his many skills, polyglot, multilingual, oral sex, he bringing a woman to orgasm using only his fingers in less than 90 seconds.
Wow.
Like, these are important skills.
Some are more important than others.
Yes. We also weak semen. But, you know, now he's got those acupuncture needles. So
that's just the one con on this list.
And he can't sing.
Oh, yeah.
Unless he is carrying a woman up the stairs on his face, and then he can sing Ragtime Gal. So that's
callback.
That's canon. So he, what among his many skills are cannon dragging, and politicking. He's good with people. He's good with understanding how people work and how they think and all of that stuff. This fails him in this episode because he's already pissed off Pepe Le Pew. You called him Toulouse-Lautrec,
I know.
right?
Let's keep it going.
Yeah, okay. So Charles de Gaulle is just hanging out with Coco Chanel and is looking across the river, lake, wherever the fuck they are, at Sugarloaf Mountain.
And
Hill.
is this a real thing? Sugarloaf Hill, I believe. Is this a real thing from the Revolutionary War? Like, obviously, Benedict Arnold and Ethan Allen took Fort Ticonderoga. Yeah. Did it get lost again? Is that what this is about?
I assume so. I have not once again skimmed the Wikipedia page, but yes, I know at some point they...
Was it a Sugarloaf Hill thing? Like...
I do not know. We will have to consult the internet. But
okay.
I'm assuming yes.
Yeah.
Diana likes her research.
It seems like probable that happened.
It would be
makes
pretty
me
weird.
Sad that as an American I don't know.
Yeah. But, well, you know, that's partially on us, but it's super duper on the fact that the American public school system could use a real shot in the arm, folks. Just try to ask me to do math in my head sometime for kicks. Anyway, he has already said, listen.
Gaston. Sorry, no, I'm kidding. LeFaux.
Porque no los dos. He's stomping around wearing boots.
Yeah. Okay, Napoleon. Simmer down.
Take a deep breath. I was so excited when I heard that accent. I thought this was going to be Lafayette, and it was not. Lafayette or we riot. Anyway, once they got the cannon up there, Jamie starts waving his hat in the air, and then he has his men fucking fire a cannon at a military base that is on high alert, and it goes wide. I told them to shoot wide.
I told them to miss. Come on, drama
queen. And they do miss, but come on, Jamie. You got to give people a heads up.
Come on.
You could have said, pardon me, I'm about to fire a cannon.
Please look at how close this comes to us. It will not hit us.
This is only a test.
Yes. Get somebody in the background to be all like, wee.
The anxious lady in the medical tent totally pissed herself.
Yes.
Yeah, not cool. Not cool, bro. Also, Claire was probably like, Jesus Christ, Jesus H. Roosevelt, crossword for attack.
Okay, so this is really interesting.
Hit me.
Sugarloaf Hill, when I search it, only shows the Japanese results about Okinawa. So I'm wondering if that is like I'm going to put in Revolutionary War. Go on. Keep on going, and I'm going to see what I can find.
Great. I will. So that is how Jamie pisses off a French guy who then they have another meeting about it later with the actual general. And the French guy's like, no one could have predicted this.
And I just can't understand.
That actor is funny.
Yeah.
He's got the like bleh, face on and it's very funny.
I was really surprised that not one of those men in that room, not one, would be like, he did. Not one of them.
Well, I mean, you'd be contradicting a superior officer, right? And that guy seems... Well, Jamie makes this point that I thought was very well made, where he says that he can't tussle with this guy because it would be bad for his men. Yeah. Because if this person was going to retaliate, he would retaliate by giving them either really shitty or really dangerous work.
Yes.
Right? So, like, Jamie's got to hold his temper. It's like right before the house burned down, he was like, "Pleased to make your acquaintance, sir. My name is Jim."
He went,
and then he went, "Wait, is that guy?"
Right, he has to have that moment.
So
to understand
unless
his
the French
entry
guy
point.
was, "I also did nothing when your wife was assaulted," and then he would get his ass beat. But just being a dick who doesn't listen.
Which is a recurring theme in the episode.
Yes.
So this is option one of that guy.
That guy. Oh,
yeah. So many that guys.
There's a lot of that guy.
There's like this episode. Every episode of Outlander has at least one that guy. It kind of feels like, but this one has like
quite a few that guys.
A dozen eggs.
Yes.
We can make several souffles of that guys.
The other that guy at Fort Ticonderoga is, let's call him, what should we call this motherfucker? Dr. Doom?
No, that's too badass. This guy doesn't get badass name. He gets name.
Dr. Rustsaw.
Dr. Bony Fingers. Dr. Dick Fingers.
Dr. Dick Fingers.
That's him.
So Dr. Dick Fingers, Claire is sharing a medical tent because this man is unaware that he is working with the best doctor in the universe.
Yeah, living doctor in the universe.
Which,
like no question.
I mean, Claire is a very good doctor, but she also benefits from having a 20th century medical education, which makes her the very best doctor in the entire world.
This did happen.
Great. I figured. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I figured as much. So she is just trying to treat her patients and give Mrs. Bennett her laudanum.
Yes. Please calm down, bitch.
You know what? At least
here you go.
If Mrs. Bennett if Mrs. Bennett had gone to Brighton and had to reside with the militia,
this would have been it.
Oh, my nerves.
Yes.
What if we're attacked? Ma'am, the French aren't coming to Brighton. But what if we're attacked? No.
Please,
but in this case,
take to your couch.
This lady was like me in March 2020. She was really panicked, not panicked, but she was very anxious. And everybody else was like, "Come on, you're overreacting." And she was like, "No, I'm not." And then at the end, we see her like Cassandra face as she's being rowed away from Fort Ticonderoga, just looking at Claire like,
"I told you."
And you were like, "Take your laudanum," and I was like, "No, seriously, you don't even know." Yeah, it's
so they have to evacuate the fort.
Yeah, they evacuate the fort because sure enough, there is a colonel of British Army, blah, 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 who has Fraser
hill.
blood.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a second cousin.
That's right.
So Jamie is like, "Oh, they're totally going to
They're
going to
do it because I know this motherfucker and he would do what I would do.
They're just running up that road. They're running up that hill.
Running up that hill.
And then Pepe Le Pew. I'm out of French people.
Keep going. I might come up with one.
Jacques Pepin. No, that's an insult. No, I would never.
Jacques Pepin works because he would think it was funny.
Okay.
I promise he would think it was funny.
Jacques Pepin is peering through his spyglass at the very crowded mountain covered in those coats.
Like,
And he's like,
Mondu.
Zut alors. No, he says, God damn it, which if Scotty were here, she would translate that for us. But I'm just going to, motherfucker, right? So they have to evacuate. Jamie is like ready. He doesn't say, I had the idea. I might have pointed that out to someone. What he does say is, I've got my men ready to evacuate people. We've got boats. We'll be faster. He's like, clearly.
Because he's already set up for it.
Yeah,
he knows.
He knew this was coming. So he was like, all right, well, the only thing I can do, Boy Scout bullshit. Be prepared.
Get those boats ready.
We're going to be ready to
get
flee.
Fraser's Irregulars on it.
Fraser's Irregulars are on it.
Mount up.
Meanwhile, over with Dr. Dickfingers, Claire is doing her thing and we'll be talking about how they get there later. She comes face to face with one Mr. Denzel Hunter,
who is really great.
He's the best.
So we find out here, I don't know if we really found it out in the last episode, but that he is, for the time, a trained surgeon.
We did find that out because it was in the scene where Rachel was shaving William and he was making hard eyes and she was thinking about Ian's dick. That scene.
She was.
Still hot, but she was like, aren't you cute?
You're very sweet.
You're very handsome.
You're very sweet. But
come on.
So she meets Dr. Denzel. Oh my God, can we call him Dr. Denzel?
Yeah.
She meets Dr. Denzel
in the context of he's having a
argument
combative
with
discussion.
Dr. Dickfingers.
And again, this guy, no shaking, just quaking.
Yeah.
He is very calm.
He never
He's
gets mad.
just explaining that we should amputate this leg above the knee. Because he's got a something with an artery, something.
He understands a coexisting condition that Dr.
Yes.
Dickfingers has no idea about.
Right, because
Dr. Dickfingers.
he's like, I'm taking my leeches and going, right? Like he's not.
Well, that's after Claire's like, let me go boil all our instruments.
Right.
And he's like, you don't do that
Claire
to my
comes
knife.
over and to see what they're arguing about and says, you know what, actually, I think I'm as surprised as you are, but Dr. Dickfingers is right. This should be under the knee. And then Dr. Denzel
like,
says,
this.
no, but here. And she goes, oh, yeah.
You're right.
Hold on. Let's get Bouton over here. He'll give it a sniff and we'll see what he thinks. So she agrees and he gets his knickers in a twist.
Dr. Dickfingers exit left.
She says,
Goodbye.
I'm going to get water to wash instruments. And Dr. Denzel's like,
that sounds cool.
That's a good idea.
That was actually a great moment because he's like, water. And she goes, oh, yeah, we need to sterilize everything so that the wounds can heal faster. And you see Dr. Denzel go,
Yeah.
interesting.
All right.
Maybe this woman totally knows what she's talking about.
I am pleased to meet you, new colleague.
Yeah.
If only I worked at a plant in Scotland.
We'll get there.
And so he's like, no, you're not going to touch my instruments with hot
Dr.
water,
Dick
woman.
Fingers.
And storms out.
And then we're led to believe, obviously, that amputation goes fine.
Yes.
That Claire and Dr. Denzel make it happen. And
This
then
guy's name is Walter Woodcock.
we meet the patient,
He
Walter
is
Woodcock.
a book character that I, again, have to do a reread of this book because I have very little memory. I remember his wife, who he mentions, and who has been cast, so we will be meeting her. But I don't remember much else of the storyline. But he has a lovely little scene with
this actor's
Claire
good.
where he's talking about how he and his wife fell in love dancing.
And now he's about to lose his leg.
And now he's about to lose his... Well, had already lost his leg, I think.
Oh, yes.
Which, by the way, do you know the story of the song Save the Last
Yes,
Dance?
I do.
Brief sidebar, very brief sidebar for everybody who wants to be sad. Go look up the origin story of the song Save the Last Dance for me.
Woof.
Don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're going to be. So, darling, save the last dance for me. It's a beautiful, sexy, but sad song.
Yeah.
It is, however, not as sad a song as I Wish I Would Rain. If you really want to be sad, go look up the origin story of the other Motown song, I Wish It Would Rain, which is a beautiful song that has a very tragic origin story. Anyway, guys, it's Motown hour. So that's Dr. Denzel is like, oh, Claire, I like the way you do the things you do. That's Motown. That's a Motown joke. And it seems all good. But then turns out it's time to evacuate, and they have to evacuate in a real hurry because... Give me another French person.
Because... Matisse. Because Henri Matisse took too long to make a decision.
So they're in a real hurry, and Jamie says something like, we'll try to get as many of them as we can.
Of the wounded,
which...
Okay, Claire, I really believe that Claire would have tried to fight. But then when we learned the actual medical necessity of what happened from Larissa, thank you very much. You simmered us down a little bit.
So this is book stuff, and our pal Larissa, Dr. Slack, who is a medical professional, assures us that if they tried to move him at all, his sutures would explode and he would bleed out.
I get it too, because the artery, the femoral artery or whatever's in the leg is huge, right?
Yeah.
So they just severed it.
Yeah.
So it needs time to close before you can put pressure on it by standing or moving.
Fun fact, that's how my surgery worked. Snip, snip.
They went through your femoral artery?
And they shot some stuff.
Damn.
I know. Science.
Science, bitch.
That's
how do magnets
science
work?
Gets a big shout out in this episode.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Okay, so unfortunately he cannot go.
Yes.
Which was a bummer to us until we learned more additional context.
But I do think that people who have not read the books would perhaps rightly be pretty frustrated by this storyline because Outlander has not done super well by black people. If this storyline is important enough to keep, and it seems to them it is, and this other character who's very significant will come into play
Mary,
later.
his wife.
Mercy.
Yes. Mercy, his wife. Okay.
So that is, it's important. Yeah, I understand why it is that he's here. Just cast more fucking black people. Yeah. Like, you've got to find a way. Because
it's such a standout,
you're like, oh,
right?
here's a black character who's getting a great scene, and they haven't talked about slavery at all. At no point is he being abused or discriminated against.
Nope.
None of that happens.
And also, he is the sacrifice.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like a trope that is not great.
The first scene... Great.
So good.
Great. And then...
Claire comes in with a bottle of laudanum and it's like, you're going to have to just hang out,
Sorry, you're going to have to hang out with the Brits.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? We've seen some British gentlemen of honor, and we've seen some who light sex workers on fire. Let's hope that we get more of the men of honor and less of the men who might light sex workers on fire.
Doubtful.
But speaking of men of honor, Ian Murray. Our other Fort Ticonderoga story. We'll do this one real briefly.
Okay.
Ian, somebody finds out, some other general who isn't French, finds out, so he would be Peter the Stink. Right?
I don't know.
Is that the translation of Pepe Le Pew? Peter the Stink?
Pepe is Philip.
Philip the Stink.
Philip the Stink.
So Philip the Stink says, hey, I heard you speak Mohawk. Got a job for you. Take this letter. Don't look at it.
Yeah. Don't ever open
Spy
it.
Spy twins.
Woo! It's true.
Yeah. So you got to take this to such and such village and deliver it to such and such guy because we want to see if we can get the Mohawk on our side. And Ian is like,
that's no.
Can you give me literally any other job? My ex lives there.
Was married and it was very sad for me, and
please don't make me.
Please, no. And then the guy once again is like, "We're at work, go." And Ian is like,
"You know what? Fine, fair point." So off he goes. The first thing that he sees upon returning to this village is his former wife,
Emily.
Wawatanoe, I think, works with her hands is the translation of her name, but he calls her Emily. It's the same actress. She's beautiful.
Looking good. Costumes, once again.
Yes. Oh, God. Ian's costume in this episode,
yes.
We'll save it for costumes, but it is choice.
I'm so glad they have that outlet because the Revolutionary War stuff is also similar, right?
Yes.
And to get to see something different is just so good.
I jumped ahead just a little bit. We get a rare treat in this episode, which is a Claire Ian scene.
Oh, yeah.
I love a Claire Ian scene. This is also a scene in which Ian says, and I quote, sperm.
Tell him how you spell it.
That is SPEHYRM. Sperm. Because he wants to know why it is
that he couldn't have a baby, that he couldn't father a child.
That his wife lost her baby. I think that this is a particularly solid scene, both because I just love seeing those two characters together, but also because Outlander should do this more often. At no point does Claire have to remind us that she had a miscarriage.
Nope.
The scene is about how she also had a miscarriage.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to come up. We remember, and more importantly, she remembers, and it's Katrina who reminded us with what we call acting.
Yeah. So
Acting.
she has never told Ian about
I'm not
that.
sure. Ian might know. No, you know what? I think Ian does know about Faith because I think Jamie told Ian about Faith when he was comforting
That's
him.
correct.
Right?
That is correct.
But it doesn't have to come up.
But for them to both have that shared knowledge and for Claire to explain the reality
Yes.
of the science of reproduction to him while he is soaking it all up. That's the thing about Ian is he is receptive.
Yes.
And he listens and
He's curious.
Curious, yes.
Yeah, I think that might be a defining quality of
Agreed.
Ian Murray. Way back from the beginning, when he was like, yes, would love to have sex with a prostitute, right? Oh, are you my Auntie Claire? My mom says you're a witch. Let's hang out.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's...
How did she do that and this?
I want to go in the
figured
cave.
it out.
I'm going to go in the cave. I'm going to stay with the Mohawk. I'm going to befriend this wolf. I have got the hots for a Quaker. Like he's very
great.
Curious. He is open-minded and inquisitive. And sometimes it gets him into trouble, but mostly it has served him very well. Yes.
Yeah, open to learning. And so he learned something from Claire right here, which is it just happens all the time.
Yes. And you could see sneaking it right in. Women don't talk about it very often, which is still true.
Yes.
Like, that's still true. And it's really hard, and no one should be forced to talk about their trauma. But I do think that we live in a society in which women are encouraged to keep that sort of pain private. And also it is sometimes shamed.
Yes.
Which is
shame
fucked.
is the control arm of the patriarchy.
Yeah,
That's how they
which harms
all
us
keep
all.
us down.
I mean, in this episode, the patriarchy
is
attacks
rampant.
It attacks in the medical tent. It
by sea, by land, by dam.
And by camper van.
Camper van. Oh my God, is the person living in the van?
I
no,
doubt
because
it.
they have to sleep in the... Anyway.
They've got those,
Patty,
they've got those
that was
lights
a
on all the...
mistake.
Right now it's their
They
sex...
live in there.
Hey, right now it's their fairy hut.
Yes.
Because they're...
We'll get there.
Jemmy and... Yeah, it's sex hut. Okay.
So Ian goes back to... He takes the mission after he's spoken with Claire to try
armed
to...
with the knowledge of the fact that there is nothing wrong with his sperm.
Right. So he's gathered himself for this, what he perceives to be a kind of sad reunion.
Yes.
And then he comes up on Emily, and it is just a beautiful scene.
Yeah. Really
because
simple.
You can see her clock him immediately and see that he is sad.
Yeah.
See that he is not all together.
But not angry.
Not angry.
And not...
No anger.
And it's not...
accusatory. There's no fighting.
Nor is there any real longing. He's not there trying to win her back. Right? It is not a selfish encounter in any way.
No.
It's everybody needs an ex like Ian. You need at least one good ex where it's like, this was complicated, but man, I still respect you as a person.
Yeah, you're cool.
I care about your feelings. I'm glad that you're happy. I might not be happy, but that's okay. I'm sorry this happened. Like, just vibes. And they have this lovely little exchange. And he says, "You didn't ask if I'm happy." She says, "I have eyes." Oh,
yeah, you're sad boy. But not sad boy, sad man.
Sad man.
Yeah, Ian is not sad boy.
no.
There is a difference between
feelings
Ian's
man.
Yes.
He is not a sad boy. He is a feelings man.
Yeah. There is
like
a
Jamie,
difference.
he's a feelings man.
man. He is allowing himself to process these feelings as opposed to sad boy, which is kind of performative.
Yes. Or selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like internal.
But then she says something about her kids. Like, how does it come up?
Well, she says that she can't go very far. It's she has to take care of her son and daughter. He says, oh, your family has grown.
Excellent.
They have a lovely little chat. And then he says, can I meet your son? Which, sexist.
But yeah, also, can I just meet your kids?
Yeah.
Why do you gotta... Whatever.
Maybe he assumed there's no point in meeting a baby, which, fair.
Okay.
Listen, when we meet babies, that's good for us.
Yeah, we're like, hey, cute baby. Then we move on.
Yeah. Eventually,
when you meet a kid,
when you hang out with babies, sure, but you have to hang out with babies for it to matter to the baby. If you meet a baby, the baby's not like, nice to meet you.
Yeah, the baby's like, I don't remember
remember
shit.
Is it time to put a boob in my mouth?
Yeah.
So she says, yeah, you can meet my son. She walks over and is like, hey, small, conspicuously white child.
Yeah.
Will you
Get
go
over there?
Go meet this guy. That is Swiftest of Lizards.
Swiftest of lizards.
And they found the cutest fucking kid.
Except for Amanda.
Yes.
Mandy
Mandy
two really
is
cute
the
kids.
cutest. There are a lot of cute kids in the show. Children of the Corn or not. There's some cute kids.
He's kind of cute too, though, in a
He's
different
cute.
way.
He's got that beautiful blonde hair,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just constantly making trouble and speaking Gaelic. And
He does have like a ghosty thing about him, though. This is like excellent casting.
yeah, he sees dead people.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
He sees dead people.
He sees dead people. He sees dead people.
I have so many notes written about in fact, the first note I wrote for this episode, and we'll get there, is that's what you get for having creepy psychic kids.
I did write that too. I wrote mountain goats. I told you not to play in the graveyard. Your kids are weird.
Yeah. I mean, they've been through a lot, folks. But point is,
we see this other cute kid.
And it takes Ian maybe 5 seconds longer than it should to clock what's happening.
Be like, oh, that's my kid.
Yeah. Julie had some timeline questions. I do too. This is a large child. And Outlander has not been great about informing us about the passage of time always. So we know it's been a while, but it's unclear
exactly
how long.
It's been.
But basically, what it amounts to is when Emily's grandmother was like, listen, you gotta go. You're out of the sex house.
Yeah, and he's like, oh man.
So he leaves, goes to the ridge. It's for the best. He's dealt with his grief. She's dealt with her grief. They have this lovely little meeting. Turns out when he left, she's knocked up because now there's a little tiny Ian James, because Emily asks Ian to give him a name for when he walks in that world, right? So when he is dealing with white people, he needs a white person name. And Ian says, your name is Ian James. Oh.
Yeah.
And he says, I like it. Also, he knows. He says, are you Wolf's brother? And Ian says, yes. He says, my grandmother said, you're the father of my spirit, but that I shouldn't tell my dad.
I'm sorry, Dad knows.
Oh, Dad knows.
Dad knows.
Where'd he get the blonde hair?
Yeah, Dad knows. And are we going to get a scene with them?
There's one in the book, but I don't think...
It's not going to happen here.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we learn...
I think that's a wrap on Emily.
What we learn is Ian has a son.
Yeah.
Great.
Who seems to be thriving, and frankly, it is in his best interest to
stay there.
As far away from white people as he possibly can.
And fucking Ian knows it.
Oh, yeah.
Ian's
knows
like,
it.
okay, cool, sorted, love you, mean it. I gotta go give this letter to someone. And then, let's move on from this.
Okay. So the hunters. Oh, that's the last Fort Ticonderoga. We'll just say this. Sex eyes.
Ooh.
That is some of the best on-screen chemistry I have straight up ever seen.
It really is good. And it's really interesting to see it.
That's like some Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon shit.
Done by a woman who is inhabiting a character of deep religious faith, and like, she is just horny. She's horny. And you can see it. Her eyes are, I don't know. I
don't know that I would say horny. I think she, like Ian, is open and curious.
Right, but
She's
there are
open.
sex darts.
I know there are sex darts, but I don't think Rachel Hunter is a sexually experienced person.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
I think that most women, frankly, a lot of women even today, if you found yourself in a situation where it was like instant fucking chemistry, like pheromones off the charts. Holy shit, this is on. A lot of people would tamp that down. Right? And she doesn't. It's not like she throws herself at him.
No, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, she's inexperienced. She hasn't had sex.
She's acknowledging what is happening to her physically and emotionally.
And she's so good at it because it's fascinating to watch it happen. Yeah. Like, you can just see her.
It's almost, you can see it being like almost disconcerting to her. Like, God, this actress is so good. The way she's playing it, it's like unfamiliar, but pleasurable, right? Like, this is a new experience and she is very into it, but she doesn't totally understand it. Anyway, they meet up again in Fort Ticonderoga, and Ian, I offer you my protection as well. Finds out she's been hanging out with Claire, which match made in heaven, right? Perfect. Like, you were like, Lizzie, I'm going to teach you all about doctoring. And Lizzie was like, yeah, great. Yeah, okay. This is speaking of the child of your spirit. Yeah. This is your natural descendant, Claire. This girl is speaking your language. Anyway, they make more sex eyes at each other, and it is extremely hot. Right.
And then we find out that Rachel, this is the past story that we're about to talk about. So Rachel and Denzel and Willie make out from Quakertown.
They leave from whatever place where Willie was delivering his D-letters. D-sooner, D-better.
D-better. And they're on the road.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, British Jason Mantzoukas is like cutting down a tree. And halfway through the crowdcast,
kind of an insult to Jason Mantzoukas, though, because I would write it.
Then bargain basement British Jason Mantzoukas.
Okay, good.
Yes, but Jason Mantzoukas is hot shit.
He is, like, I don't know why I want to bone him, but I've always wanted to bone him.
I have a question about that actor, though. Where did he get the Jason Mantzoukas hair?
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. So they see Sweeney Todd standing on the side of the road, cutting down some trees. And they're like, good sir, are we headed in the right direction? And he says, no. Spoiler alert, they probably were. Like, this whole plot line could have been avoided with Google Maps. It's like, you should have turned left back there several hours. And Rachel's like, oh, no, that's like 4 hours back. And Denny says, should we just camp here for the night? And William is indecisive. And this guy with the British accent, which is the only information that William needs to trust a person, apparently. Yep. It's like, why don't you come and stay with me and my wife? He goes, yes, good sir, thank you. Yes, indeed. All British here. Tea, crumpets,
rats,
the monarchy. So they go back to what, and I do not remember this story from the books because, again, I need to reread this book. So I want to claim credit. They showed it was an exterior shot of that house, and I said, murder house, immediately. It's because, you know what? We've seen a murder house before.
Yeah, we have.
We are familiar.
Beardsley's House of Horrors.
Yes. We are familiar with the aesthetic, and that's that aesthetic. So they go inside the murder house. Never do that.
Bad idea.
And they sit down to eat.
And Murder Wife makes dinner of rats.
It's
really gross.
It's rat stew. She didn't skin them. Did you see the one that still had fur on it?
Yes.
Oh, it was. Rachel's like, will thee excuse me, please?
And she fucking
goes outside
bolts.
for some air, and Willie follows her, and she's like, I just can't. I can't listen, I can't. Willie, though, he eats it, which turns out to be
great,
life-saving.
Yeah.
You know, in the scene in Bridesmaids where they all shit in the dressing room of the fancy dress place. And Melissa McCarthy sits on the sink and yells, it's coming out of me like lava.
That's what's about to happen to Willie.
What's about to happen to Willie when he wakes up
at like 3 a.m. and like,
oh no, the rat's disagreeing with me. And then he hears the conspicuous sound of 2 murder people tiptoeing. And he turns around and says, oh, could you not sleep either? Like, the knives in their hands aren't a dead giveaway.
And then Rachel sees the wife coming up behind with another knife, and she screams. And that's when Willie knows it's on.
And because Quakers are nonviolent, Willie's like, oh God, gee, I sure hope I've got some Scottish Terminator blood in me somewhere. So he grabs a fireplace poker and takes out Sweeney Todd.
But can I talk about taking out Sweeney Todd for just a second? He fucking hit that guy over the goddamn head, and it didn't stop him. Like, what's up with British Sweeney Todd?
Yeah, he went like,
yeah, he's like into it, but then Willie kills him.
Yeah, he gets him with the fireplace poker directly to the gut. And Charles Vandervaart is very good in these scenes, I think. So they manage to subdue Murder Wife, and
this is all also after they had the discussion on the road about would you kill somebody in a moment of safety or what? Okay, so
totally.
they've discussed it.
Willie and Rachel have this. Not combative, but like a little bit. It must be said that William is a bit of a reply guy.
Yes,
like we have established that he doesn't have anything to put in his fucking death song. So shut up already.
He's got a new verse.
He has a new verse, and he all of a sudden has a different understanding of what it means to take a life. And he says, I didn't expect it to feel this way. I think if it was in battle, I would have been prepared. And she says, no, you wouldn't.
Rachel's saying, no, bro.
And they have this, it's a great little
really
scene where it's obvious that she also feels a connection to William, but it is not
the same.
It's not a sexized connection. So they have this lovely little exchange where they're trying to decide what to do with Murder Wife. Because the William of 16 hours previous would have been like, well, let's dispatch her, right?
But now that he's killed somebody, he's like, not so easy.
No, it's maybe losing her husband and having to eat rats is punishment enough. But maybe they'll bring her to the law. It's unclear what actually happens. But they do not kill her, which, you know what? Not bad for a Fraser.
Yeah, you know what? One stone unturned.
His no-kill count, one.
So they leave her there, I guess, to fend for herself, which is quite a punishment for a woman alone.
To cook her rats and count her jewels.
She does have all those jewels. They don't take anything away from her. Yeah, they were killing people and robbing them, so that's what we learned.
What a cool enterprise, popping rats into pies.
Gross.
Wouldn't do in my shop. Just the thought of it's enough to make you sick.
It is.
And I'm telling you, them rats is hard to skin.
Allison was kind of grossed out by this. Obviously, everybody's grossed out by this. But I remember last week with the wounds and the wound makeup, I too almost threw up. So
vault.
Yeah. In 2 episodes, we both have had the vomit response.
Yes.
So Willie and the hunters hit the road and they end up splitting up. The hunters are headed to Fort Ticonderoga.
Yeah.
Willie is headed to give the letter, deliver the letter to somebody else,
and then meet up with his spy boss in upstate New York or maybe Canada.
Ticonderoga? Okay.
No, he's not going to Ticonderoga.
Okay.
He's because British. Which he's like, you go that way. I'm going to go
that's right.
this way. And by the way, if any British people give you any trouble, you tell them that you demand to see hello. You demand to see the superior officer and that you know a friend of theirs. And she's like, yeah, what friend? He goes, Harold, Duke of Podlow. She's like, yeah, who's that? And she's like, he's a relation. That's his uncle. That's John's brother, who you may recall from making it so Jamie didn't get executed at Culloden back in the day. So we love Hal. Hope we get to see him soon. So they're like,
the hunters are like, oh, he's British. Oh, is he on the run? Trouble follows those guys.
Yeah, they think he's a deserter. Nope, he's just a very bad spy.
Bad spy.
Very bad spy.
What he did just there was like the worst spy thing.
Yeah.
Was he let them know something about him.
Friend.
Yeah.
So that's a wrap on
Willie for this episode.
And also a wrap on the hunters.
The hunters make it to Fort Ticonderoga and then have the scenes we discussed already at Fort Ticonderoga.
Okay.
Right.
Now,
I need a beer before we start talking about the modern day shit because I am so enthusiastic about it that I can barely contain myself.
Great. Let's pause.
Okay. Okay. So, as listeners of this show will know, I have never really been enthused about the Roger and Brianna storyline, just generally speaking.
There have been great isolated moments, but they haven't always handled Bree and Roger super well. And it must be said that they cast like an incredibly charming human teddy bear to play Roger and then kept all the storylines where Roger sucks. Yeah. So that's complicated. Like it's not a particularly fun viewing experience because it's it's just not even any fun to be mad at him.
Yeah.
If you're going to be mad at him, you want to be mad at, like, it's more fun to be mad at Jamie than it is to be mad at Roger, because Jamie is like a
He's a target.
statue of a Greek god, and Roger is like and I mean this with great affection, and I would climb him like a tree. He's a Build-A-Bear. You know what I mean? Like, he's cuddly.
Yes.
And Jesus Christ, he looks good in plaid.
He's hot in this episode.
Future Roger is hot.
He's hot in this
episode. Listen, you remember when
Maybe
Roger...
that's what it is. Maybe that he's more at home in this time zone or whatever, and he's just hotter. And that's why I like the storyline better.
Maybe it's just that Richard Rankin is so happy to be wearing jeans.
Yes. You know what? I would too.
He looks good in jeans. It's the aesthetic suits him. So we're back at the flipping of the Brock. And here we have also got multiple storylines. And I think all of them are, even though they're just teasing most of them out, all of them are great. They're still flipping the Brock, which looks sick.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
These sets are so fun to look at. They've got so many rich details in them. It is great.
And it's... their kitchen is the exact color of Julie's dining room.
It's true.
It's great. The plants are great. All the furniture is cool. They've got like a very chic camper van.
Yeah. First of all, I think it's the same company. It's a historical company. It's been around since the colonies. They are a contracting firm that will either build a house for you or build a camper van for you. And so the camper van, to me, reminds me of the big house on the ridge. Like, who did this? How do you get a camper van with a mid-century modern balustrade between the front door and the dining room? Like, where does this come from? Who built this?
It's very cool. For those of you who have not listened to the first early episodes of Girls Just Want to Solve Crimes, there's a pivotal scene in a camper van. And I'll tell you what, didn't look fucking anything like that.
No, it looked like a trailer, which is what it is.
Yeah.
But this looks like a little house, and it appears that they're only sleeping in there because they're still working on the bedrooms.
But I think that Jemmy and Mandy are sleeping in it's unclear where exactly they're living. Also, the lights appear to be on in the camper van at all times. Guys, I promise you they're using a generator. That's just bad economics. Turn that shit off.
They didn't know that back then. They didn't know about climate change back then.
You got to... but they know about bills.
I guess that's
Turn
true.
those
Unless they're
lights off.
just using
gas.
Unless Brianna made something.
Yeah, never mind. Brianna invented whatever is lighting the camper van. So they're flipping the Brock, and Bree is starting her new job. And...
what was the underwear scene about? I didn't really catch what that was.
Mild sexual content.
Yeah.
So Bree and Roger are just having a wee chat before Bree goes to work.
First day.
Yes, first day. And he comes up to her and is like, "Hey, baby, you looking good," basically. And then they start smooching, and he puts his hands on her ass and realizes that she is not wearing underwear. And he's like, "What's this? What's this about?" And she says, "Oh, well, I
just got used to not wearing underwear.
got used to not wearing them because we lived in the past. So sometimes I just don't wear them." And so then he massages her butt a bit. It's pretty hot.
It's cute.
They look great together. And then he says, "I like you in your knickers." And she says, "You like taking them off." And then they start smooching, and then they hear, and they turn around, and
the
there's
little perverted kid Amanda standing
Mandy
there.
just standing there watching them. It's very cute. So then Bree heads to work. She's getting a tour of the place. She gets into a really
sweet
sick
Range Rover.
Land Rover. Yeah, it's pretty great. Terrible boss who wanted her to give him tea.
But he, weirdly, is kind of fine out of the group.
He seems like maybe he's over it.
Yeah, he seems like maybe like, okay, it's your job now.
He
Here
does
you
say,
go.
"Good luck."
He does say good luck.
So he drives her over to where the maintenance folks are all hanging out.
On this dam that is shot beautifully.
Gorgeous location. The filming is beautiful. We meet a bunch of buttholes, one of whom looks like if you took one of the characters from Little Rascals and then aged him up 30 years but didn't change anything else.
And you know what energy he was serving me?
What?
Angus, a little bit.
It's not. He's got the face of somebody who got away with a bunch of shit when he was little, and was also the stooge of the big bully.
Yeah.
Which, spoiler, he's still the stooge of the big bully.
Yeah.
we meet a bunch of them and learn their names, and I don't care about most of them. The one that we
Care
need
about.
to know is Rob Cameron, who I told Julie is pronounced Rob, put 2 middle fingers up, Cameron. He sucks. They give her the evil eye, and she says,
All right,
well, I hear you're installing a turbine today. Can one of you take me to show me that? And Rob Cameron says, that's my project. I'll take you. And she says, oh,
Thank God.
thank you. So they take her to some deep, dank, dark
Entrance to this dam.
Yeah. They're like, here you go. Take my torch. Go on in. And then they lock her in.
And the torch has
Dead.
no batteries.
Yeah, it's
so
dead.
great, fellas.
She peers out the door and they're going, hee hee, we got gold. And they get in the car and drive away. And she's pissed and freaked out. So,
But guess what our girl has done? She has memorized the entire schematic of the interior of this dam.
Pretty
so
close.
she has to panic for a second because this does suck. But then, thanks to her invention from 1774,
yes.
she lights a match and turns the lights
oh,
off.
thank God I made another batch of matches yesterday.
God.
She pulls out a match. She finds the
Control panel.
power box, right? Like, oh, we blew a fuse again. And she turns on the lights. She's like, all right, guess it's time for me to get the fuck out of here. And she heads forward and takes a right. And Sophie Skelton does a good job in this scene. She's very determined. She's got kids.
She has a little bit of a panicky moment, but then she calms herself and is like, wait, I know this thing inside and out.
Okay,
I memorized
here I go.
it.
She starts making her way back to wherever the fuck it is she's making her way back to. But then she takes a turn. And there is blue.
Xanadu, baby.
It's. How much Doctor Who did you watch with Neil?
I've seen enough, Doctor Who.
Okay. So you'll understand what I mean when I say she sees this cloud of blue stuff, and it sounds like this.
Yes, I will.
Like the TARDIS is definitely about to emerge from that. Julie, I'm not going to say shit because book reader. Julie hypothesized during the crowdcast that was
Dick Rock Jizz.
yes. I said stone circle goo. She said oh, Dick Rock Jizz.
Yeah.
Because Bree sees it, is understandably freaked out because what the fuck is that?
Kind of hears the weird bee
And like
sound.
feels it, right?
Yeah.
Like she can
her head
feel
hurts. She has to know,
She
right?
does not mention it to Roger, which I think is pretty weird.
That is weird.
I guess it was a big freaky day. Maybe she just didn't remember. Like maybe, you know,
That
when you have
stands
one of
out.
those terrible. I know, but you know when you have one of those terrible days and it all just kind of becomes a wash of
Yes.
terrible.
Yeah.
And the big event, getting locked in, like the
Supersedes all else.
yes,
Yeah.
or at least like
Supersedes Dick Rock Jizz.
Yeah.
Hard to do.
so she goes running through it and thankfully does not emerge in 2022.
God, I really thought it was going to happen. I thought she was going to come out of a door, open it up, and be like, what did you say?
I said she's going to open the door and see tourists who are visiting Outlander filming locations. But no, she gets out. She's telling the story later to Jemmy and Amanda.
And she's really putting a good face on, too,
Yeah.
because she wants to keep the mood light for her children.
Oh, they were hazing me, and I got out, and all my
I got
coworkers
out.
applauded.
It was because I did my homework and I understood where everything was, like trying to reinforce a positive message to the
yes,
children.
they're eating dessert. Roger this week is
It's
earning his beard.
A little sensitive.
He's earning his beard.
He sees her not having a great time.
No, first they are drinking champagne
That's right.
with dinner.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what?
So Roger was playing stay-at-home dad today. He tried to build a wagon. He saw,
We'll get to the...
he's got some other stuff. But when Bree got home, that man handed her a glass of champagne and sat her down.
Congratulations on your first day, baby.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Then he notices she's upset. So he says, kids, finish your dessert. Come with me. And they go into the study. And
He's like, what's going on?
and she tells him what really happened.
So
and he
mad.
says, I'm sorry they're such assholes. And I'm sorry if I didn't make it clear earlier how proud I am of you. And
Thank you,
It's like,
Roger.
good, Roger. That is growth. He also sort of like bumps the desk with his hip and a secret drawer pops out, which, sweet. And in it is a very fancy, like, tortoiseshell pen.
It's beautiful.
That he bought her for her to use at work. And it's a lovely little scene.
Gift.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
So we see that Brianna makes up her mind. She's like, I I have to go back. I have to go into them. I have to be, this is like the Singapore thing, like the by land, by sea, by whatever. She realizes she has to go on the offensive with these motherfuckers because they're not going to, they may never accept her. But if she doesn't try from now to show them that she knows what's up, she's doomed. So she goes to the local pub, which has 0 women in it.
You're in the wrong place, sweetheart.
Yeah, and everybody makes fun of her, whatever. And she finds the group of the buttholes, and she sits down, and she
says
reads
something to the effect of, how many tunnels does a girl have to get locked in to get a drink in here? And one guy gets up and leaves the table.
Yeah, fuck that
Some
guy.
other people laugh, right? And then...
all the gentlemen start bonding over their shared trauma when they got locked in the tunnels.
Right. And then Brianna's like, ha, 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 ha. No, seriously.
And then she turns to Cameron and she's like, all right, here's the bag.
You had your fun. If you ever do this again, I will have a lot of you fired. And he's
Only
like,
he can hear this,
yeah,
by the way.
He also and don't call me hen. He's like, all right,
Gov?
Gov, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I get a drink from a colleague? And I think it was a really smart approach. She was like, I'm going to do 10% just one of the guys, 90% hellfire and brimstone. Mm-hmm. And then we'll just lightly switch the percentage, right? Mm-hmm. So she's like, hey, look at me. I belong here too.
I lived.
If you fucking try me again, I will end you.
I will end your
career.
career.
You don't understand. My father has killed 796 people. And I'm 6 feet tall. It's great. Good for her. Meanwhile, back at the Brock.
Children of the corn in it.
We've got Jemmy and Mandy playing in a graveyard. These are all things that are probably going to continue, right? We've got Jemmy and Mandy playing in a graveyard because Granda's there. They miss Granda. She says, if you found their headstones, I don't want to know. He's like, no, but I made a cairn. Come see, Ma. She's like, not today, Jim.
I've got other
I
shit
told you.
going on.
That's, by the way, when I wrote down, that's what you get for having creepy psychic kids. I told you not to play in the graveyard. Like, sorry, Ma, we wanted to have creepy psychic conversations with our Granda. The episode ends with Bree having a nice chat with Jamie at the cairn. It's lovely.
Oh, yeah. And the way they took the camera off and let her talk underneath, that
Very
was really
nice.
cool.
Yeah, it was a good touch. And Sophie Skelton is really good in this episode.
So we know that Jimmy is seeing something.
Or hearing something or feeling something. Again, creepy psychic kids.
Yeah.
That's point 1. Point 2.
Red rum.
Jemmy also comes back from school and he's heading up the driveway to his dad, who is out in the driveway building what appears to be a wagon, or someone in the crowd said a child-sized vroom.
Thrift-sized room. Get the kids in there. Go thrifting.
Oh, no, I meant like a little car for him to drive around.
Oh, yeah, like a soapbox derby car.
Yeah.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah, whatever it is, he's building something with wheels on it for the kids, being a good stay-at-home dad. Way to go, Roger. So he sees Jemmy coming off the drive after getting out of his, what also appeared to be a Land Rover.
Yeah.
Place with school bus, however the fuck he got home. And he instead takes
Jimmy
a hard left. Hard left and goes into mysterious building that we think we have seen before.
Was it in the rookery?
Yeah, maybe.
Because you could see all those little hutches and stuff.
But there's a big sign on the door that says keep out. And Jemmy's like, that seems like an invitation. And he goes in. He's just sitting sadly in this weird building. Roger comes and is like, it's not safe in there. You got to come out. Come sit on this log with me and let's have a conversation like men. They sit down. And he says, I got in trouble at school. And he tells this story about how first, like, it's one thing after another, this story. First, a bunch of shitty kids were saying that his mom and Mandy and he were all going to burn in hell as papists. Right?
Catholics.
Right. So that sucks. And Roger says, well, that's not true. And you know what you say to that? And Jemmy says, yeah, I'll see you there.
And just turns and says it. He was that good. That kid was really good in that moment.
And then he says that he said it in Gaelic. And Roger's like, oh. Then the teacher came over and said, we speak English in this class, and shook him by the ear. Then Jemmy used one of Grandad's curses in Gaelic. And so he said, like, you're a pig's vagina, or whatever fuck Jamie,
to this teacher.
Something Jamie says in Gaelic. Then she calls the headmaster, and the headmaster told him to hold out his hands, and I'm assuming hit them with a ruler. He says, gave you 2 licks or whatever, something.
Something of the belt, maybe?
But it's physical punishment.
Yes,
this is a school
terrible.
where they are physically abusing children.
And you
as
can see
discipline.
Roger's face being like, what?
And then
Tell me
Jemmy
more.
says, are you mad? And he says, not at you.
Not at you, friend.
So that's not great. Then they're about to head back up for some, I'm sorry you got abused at school pudding or something.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, beans on toast.
Yeah, beans on toast.
The preferred snack of RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 2 runner-up Taste, beans on toast. They are getting ready to go have beans on toast when Roger's like, and by the way, Jemmy, don't leave your wrappers. Don't litter. We don't litter.
Look at this.
And that little shit says, it's not my garbage, and just walks away. No, you pick it up anyway. Save the planet, Jim.
Also, who is eating that? We talked about that at the beginning.
Oh, he says it was the Nucklevy.
Nucklevy.
So this is a quote-unquote lie that Jemmy has told multiple times.
Yes.
And we think maybe that's a rep. Spoiler, it's not. One of the cutesy scenes that Bree and Roger are having where they're having grown-up conversation, I think it's when she's talking about her cave time. Which again, God, those scenes were directed so beautifully.
The cinematography
Gorgeous.
of the cave, the lights, the like shapes.
I think it's really hard to do things that are beautiful and still scary. And it's not like terrifying scary. It's not horror movie scary, but
it's
it
like
made
Metropolis
me think
scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a shot that was straight 2001 when she was going into the pipe.
And it's so interesting to have such vast difference between where she works and the shapes that she works in versus where she lives and like nature.
But you know what it is? There's a lot of that fucking season 7 blue.
There is.
There's a lot of that season 7 blue.
But the camera work, direction in the
choice,
damn, like incredible,
beautiful. So they're having their heart to heart, and then all of a sudden, one of the kids screams, and Mandy comes running in, and Jem says, she saw someone out the window, but I didn't see anyone. Maybe it was the Nucklevy. And Roger is like, okay, well, I found these wrappers and stuff, so maybe there is somebody like hanging out in the woods. And he like grabs his balls and goes outside and is looking around. He doesn't see anybody. But then we get one of those shots where it's like from behind some grass and the camera's moving a little, so you know it's the person who's watching Roger in the woods, right? Mm-hmm. So, ooh, spooky. Nucklevy. Who could the Nucklevy be? Or what could the Nucklevy be? I loved everything about...
The modern storyline was
perfect.
Tops.
Like
tops,
all
baby.
of it.
Tops.
All of it. And I
Roger's
love...
growth.
Yes.
Brianna's job. Putting the guys in their place. Figuring out the minds. The beautiful cinematography of the dam itself. The costumes. The set dressing. It had everything.
It was really, really great. I liked, with the exception of the Outlander should do better by black people of it all, I liked this episode a lot in general. Julie screamed the word Izzy at one point during one of the Rachel Hunter scenes. Some good Claire stuff. We've got some good Jamie stuff. We've got like we kick and punch hijinks when they're pulling the cannon up the hill and then shooting it at a fort full of soldiers who are ready for war.
Reason.
Jamie, that was a real blunder.
Jamie, come on.
We've got traumatized Mrs. Bennett in a boat. Like we got like lots of good stuff, but really the Bree and Roger storyline was the standout here. I had such a good time.
It really was the first time that I have felt. It sounds like I'm being rude when I say this, but like I was literally invested and truly interested in their storyline for the first time this time. And it's not that I've hated it when I've seen it in the past. It's just never as exciting as Claire and Jamie. And now it feels like it is.
There have been some things where I was pretty into it, but a lot of the conflict with Bree and Roger has come from either Roger being a whiny baby about something or some sort of trauma. And don't get me wrong, this is a traumatic experience that Bree has, but it's not a sexual assault. Right. So big thumbs up. And nobody gets murdered. Also big thumbs up.
Yeah.
No babies have a heart condition. It's fresh. It felt really fresh. Like it was lively.
A reset of a couple in their circumstances navigating their way through life. Just they have this weird thing where they can travel through time, but now they're just trying to navigate through their lives.
And they're trying to be parents of potential time travelers.
Right.
And like all of the weird shit
going
that
in
entails.
eyes open.
Yes.
Like most parents would never know that.
Well,
these two people are like,
and
they might
recognize that there is more uncertainty in the world than most people are aware of.
Yeah.
Right? Like people
and
can...
that's interesting.
It's interesting. It's interesting to watch them parent together. We didn't get much of that. I mean, frankly, the little boy playing Jemmy was too young for there to be real scenes. You know, it was like adult actor talking to child who stands there and looks cute. Yeah. But now they can have actual scenes, and that's, I think, really interesting. It's fun watching Roger interact with Jem. Richard Rankin seems like he's really good with kid actors, which is a special skill. Yeah. So that's great. I love that they had Roger apologize for the previous episode, because I think most shows, and frankly, in a lot of circumstances, Outlander, would have just let that drop. Like, that would have been it. He was wrong. He apologized.
But now it's clear that he's right without him actually saying it.
He's thinking... He recognizes the damage that he may have done, even though he didn't intend to, and that it doesn't just stop, right? Like, it doesn't stop just because you apologized. Because you are part of the patriarchy hurts everyone, right? So, like, good episode for Roger, really good episode for Bree, fun stuff with Jem, some not so fun stuff with Jem. Yeah, excellent. All right, let's do these scales really quick. So, costumes. Let's just say all of the contemporary costumes are great, but that Ian costume, which it's a lot new. Of the same pieces, right? Like, we've got the same accessories, basically, but there's a red shirt.
That shirt.
And a leather vest. And it's hot.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful costume. He looks great in it. It's so distinctive. It's so specific. It's a really, really great costume. But we've also got the amazing bonnet that Rachel is wearing.
Oh, yeah, that was a good bonnet. Cool. And also Denzel's sweet-ass flat brim cap.
Yep. Totally. And then
is that a pork pie? It's not quite a pork pie.
It's not
right?
a pork pie.
What is it called?
I do not know, but we will look it up.
Okay. I love it.
And then all the contemporary costumes were great.
Yeah.
Roger looks so good in plaid.
Fucking Brianna's shirt that she was wearing on her first day of work. Fire.
She looks great in her little hard hat. Respect for Roger being like,
I'm trying to get it on.
We've got 15 minutes to have sex. I think I'm due for an inspection.
Put this hard hat on and let's get to it. And she's like,
we've got 15 minutes. So I was like, oh, yeah, that seems right. That seems right. The kids are watching TV. Let's fuck. We got 15 minutes. So that was all great. All right. Getting up to get a beer.
No, I didn't. Although... there were a lot of things crammed into this episode.
Yeah.
But because they were all spaced apart in segments that were interesting, like the murder house, I wouldn't have gotten up during that. Jamie taking the cannons up to the top of the hill, I wouldn't have... Yeah, I didn't. So no.
Yeah, same. And then sex content... butt kneading.
We're seeing that we're gonna get some from Roger and Bree.
Yeah,
this is
trying
coming.
To have sex.
It's coming.
It was like a little spicy, just not. There wasn't any actual sex, but you know he was like kneading her ass when she wasn't wearing underwear.
You know,
I'll take it. That's fine. It was like a trailer for a sexy movie.
Yes,
great. And who is your golden pamplemousse?
Ooh, I go back and forth. I go back and forth in this one, I think, between Sophie and Ian.
Well, then...
Sophie and John.
I picked John...
Bree and Ian.
Last week. So you can have John this week, and I will pick Sophie, and this way we can both...
have them both.
Yeah, because... I mean, Richard Rankin was great, too.
Yes.
In fact, you go ahead and you say your pick is John Bell as Ian Murray, and I'm going to say 80s power couple.
Just them both.
Yeah.
We're bringing them together.
They're a team.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Next week, we haven't watched the preview yet because for some reason it didn't show up after the episode.
If you're interested, we've heard you can find it on YouTube, but we haven't looked at it.
So we'll be even more surprised than usual, but hopefully there will be more sex eyes.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Bye.
What excellent content. I mean, month after month, we just keep killing it.
Yes. And somehow this bit, not old yet.
Not to me.
Okay, but this is important because we're recording this, our monthly live in person with our dear friend Amelia. So we've decided to make it a musical moment, as she is wont to do, but we haven't planned anything at all. So, Amelia, what do you want to play?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I do best, quote, big air quotes, best, when you all just like shove random requests at me and then I just let the Lord take the wheel.
Okay. All right. Well, let's pick one. Julie, you can pick one. And then if that like flails out halfway through our list,
Very likely.
I'll pick a different one. So you've got options. Julie,
Okay.
Go ahead. What should she start with?
Well, based on this season of the Drunkcast so far, I'm going to go ahead and go with the theme from DuckTales.
Great.
Okay, I accept.
Perfect.
Okay.
A little butt jewels.
All right. So will you start playing and then I start the spiel? Or do you want me to start the spiel and then you start playing?
Start the spiel, and I'm going to absent myself across the room so I don't take
Okay.
over all of the sounds.
Hold on, though,
Okay.
because we have to choose backup song. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think if/when the DuckTales theme bottoms out,
How dare you.
I'm going to suggest It's All Coming Back to Me Now.
J'accept Happy Canada Day to Celine Dion. Okay.
Perfect.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's let Amelia get
Amelia,
placed.
you go ahead.
Let me get my script.
This is one of my I'm going to say this real briefly. This is one of my favorite times of year because when Outlander comes back, we get some new patrons, and some of our new patrons have come correct with some names.
I'm very excited to hear it.
Great. Let's
All right.
do it.
Amelia, you ready? Here we go. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on facebook.com/podlandercast, on Instagram @podlandercast. You can find all of our excellent shit there. You can also find us at podlanderpresents.com, where you can find all sorts of information about all of our truly excellent shows. If you like what you heard, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to the show right now. We want to thank all of you for listening, but we especially want to thank our patrons. You can become a patron at patreon.com/podlanderdrunkcast, where you can support the show, join the Slack, get early episode access, and access our bonus content. Thanks to all of our patrons. Thank you. You all make it possible for us to do this bullshit. My old note is you like O'Doyle rule. I missed that one, but I'm not going to say it again. This show is produced by Allison Shoemaker and Julie Starbird, edited by Julie Starbird, other stuff by Allison Shoemaker. Our artwork is by Viv Pickles, aka Laura. Our cover songs are performed by Amelia, Ham on the Loose Bazelle, as you can hear in the background.
Who's also our social media maven.
And also does great social media work for us. Thank you, Amelia. And now to Allison to really deeply thank our patrons.
DuckTales lasted 5 seconds. I just want to go on record as saying that. So we're still in Celine land, but we're in the chorus. Keep it up. It's the nights were so cold. So there we go. There it is. We want to thank all of our patrons, but especially the following lovely folks: Katie the Jorte Fishwife, Mindy Newell, Rachel Revelle, Brenda, Allison King, Doc JWS, Chekhov's Ointment. I saw Goody Proctor with the Devil, Sydney Taylor, Maddie Perkins, Snazzy Knack, Lisa Brienne, Julia Gulia, Kathleen Martini, Lauren Tennant, Kelsey Kemp, Emily Day, Betsy English, Caitlin Reddick, Jen Collins, Tina Barnett, Nicole Rodriguez, Kristen Freckle Fury, Ham on the Loose. That's Ham on the Loose, guys. Liz and Tinkerbell, Terry Welch, Rochelle Lefevre, Amanda Smith, Jerry Hertel, Amy Gustafson, Rachel Townsend, Kelly Mazzella, Chantal Salters, Tara Lucchino, Viv Pickles, a.k.a. Laura, Mary of the Grapefruit, Jenna Polkowski, Ann Gibson, Ruth McCormick, Kara Marlowe, Trish McCurry, Julie DeToy, Jen Lynn, Kelly Bodden, Amanda Newton, Elizabeth Young, and Kiki the Wise. We love y'all so much. Thank you for making it possible for us to do this stupid show. Zuh.
All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, folks. Let me see if I can sum up Midnight Burger in about 25 seconds.
Jesus Christ!
It'll be fine. So this is how it ends. Eaten by wolves in space.
Pardon me, Gloria. Might my husband and I have a word?
The radio is talking to me.
Really, big monster? Zero irony.
We're surrounded by cavemen.
What the hell is that?
Because you're having a cigarette in 415 million BC.
Where are we?
Space?
Can you narrow that down?
The bad part?
Ava. Yeah, that didn't work at all. At the nexus of all things, there is a diner. Look for Midnight Burger on your favorite podcasting app or just go to weopenat6.com.